I arrived at the Grand Parkview Hotel, clutching my carefully wrapped wedding gift, heart full of hope that today might finally heal the rift between my sister Amanda and me. The June sun streamed through stained glass windows as I smoothed my pale blue dress and followed the usher through the crowded venue. Instead of leading me to the ceremony space, he directed me to a single folding chair positioned in the hallway, directly beside large industrial trash cans. A small paper tent card with my name sat atop it. Amanda appeared, champagne flute in hand, designer gown shimmering. She noticed my confusion and smirked coldly. "Guess you don't count as real family anymore, Patrice." My chest tightened as the weight of this public humiliation sank in. Without a word, I reclaimed my gift, stood tall despite my trembling legs, and walked straight toward the exit. Her laughter followed me down the marble corridor. Amanda and I had once been inseparable. Growing up in suburban Pennsylvania, just 2 years apart, we'd shared everything from bubblegum lip gloss to secrets about high school crushes. I still remember braiding her hair before prom, helping her practice valedictorian speech, and driving her to college freshman orientation. That feeling of sisterhood seemed impossibly distant now. Everything changed 3 years ago, when Ethan Blackwood proposed after a whirlwind 6-month relationship. I'd never seen Amanda so radiant, her fingers constantly adjusting the 4-carat diamond on her hand during our celebratory dinner. Ethan came from old money, his family name adorning buildings across 3 counties. He seemed kind enough, if somewhat reserved, his tailored suits and careful speech revealing his privileged upbringing. "Can you believe it, Patty?" Amanda had whispered that night, using my childhood nickname, me, marrying into the Blackwood family. I'd been genuinely happy for her, ignoring the nagging concern that she seemed more enamored with his status than with Ethan himself. As wedding plans commenced, Amanda transformed before my eyes. My sister, who once wore thrift store finds proudly, now spoke exclusively about designer labels and society connections. Her vocabulary shifted to include terms like premier vendors and exclusive guest lists. When I mentioned my promotion to head pediatric nurse at Memorial Hospital, Amanda merely nodded before redirecting conversation to her wedding planner's celebrity clients. "You just can't understand the pressure, Patrice," she'd say when I questioned her new attitudes. "Ethan's family has expectations. This wedding will be featured in Northeast Society magazine. Our parents' divorce 5 years earlier had already strained family dynamics. Mom left Dad after discovering his affair with his administrative assistant, and Amanda never forgave her for breaking up our family. When I supported Mom's decision, Amanda accused me of betraying Dad. In reality, I simply recognized Mom's right to leave an unfaithful marriage, but Amanda saw everything in stark terms of loyalty. Despite growing tension, I eagerly helped with early wedding preparations. I accompanied Amanda to 4 different bakeries, endured 7 hours at the florist, and organized her engagement party. When bridesmaid selection came, Amanda avoided eye contact. "The Blackwoods are very particular about wedding parties," she explained. "Ethan's mother thinks having uneven numbers looks awkward in photos, and there are already 5 groomsmen." The exclusion stung, but I swallowed my hurt. 2 months before the wedding, Amanda called with an unexpected demand. "The venue requires final payment next week," she said tensely. "Dad's investment took a hit, and he can only cover half. I need $40,000. My stomach dropped. "Amanda, I don't have that kind of money. My savings are barely $15,000. "Then take out a loan," she snapped. "This is my wedding, Patrice. If you cared about me at all, you'd help." "I'm sorry, but I'm still paying off nursing school. I can contribute $5,000, but that's my limit." Her voice turned to ice. "Don't bother coming if that's all you think my happiness is worth." After that conversation, invitations arrived for all our relatives except me. When I finally received mine 3 weeks later, it was addressed only to Patrice Jordan without the customary "and guest," despite my 3-year relationship with Thomas. Still, I RSVP'd yes, hoping to repair our relationship. The week before the wedding, Mom called in tears. "Amanda had pre-wedding family photos taken yesterday. She told me you refused to come." That was the first I'd heard of any photos. Each revelation was another paper cut to my heart. Yesterday, while dropping off my professional steamer at Amanda's apartment to help with last-minute dress preparations, I made a discovery that explained everything. Her phone lit up with a text while she was in the shower. I wouldn't normally look, but the preview caught my eye. "Is everything ready to put Patrice in her place tomorrow?" Heart pounding, I tapped the notification. A thread opened between Amanda and her maid of honor, Jessica, revealing weeks of plotting. Amanda had deliberately excluded me from photos, arranged the humiliating seating, and planned to accidentally spill wine on me during the reception. She refused to help pay after all I've done for her, Amanda had written. "Tomorrow she learns what happens when you disappoint me." Jessica's response chilled me. "She'll be so embarrassed she'll never show her face in the family again." Serves her right. I'd placed the phone down exactly as I found it, finished helping with the dress, and left with a practiced smile, my mind reeling from the calculated cruelty of it all. Driving away from the wedding venue, I could barely see through my tears. Traffic lights blurred into shapeless colors as I navigated suburban streets toward my apartment. My phone buzzed repeatedly with texts, but I couldn't bear to read them. The beautiful day now felt like a cruel mockery with its perfect blue sky and cheerful birdsong. Inside my apartment, I kicked off my heels and collapsed onto the couch, finally checking my messages. Several were from bridesmaids I barely knew. "Way to ruin Amanda's big day. Selfish much? Always making everything about you. Pathetic. Amanda's in tears because of you. Hope you're happy." I turned my phone off and curled into a ball, wondering how I'd become the villain in this story. 20 minutes later, a familiar knock pulled me from my misery. My best friend Megan stood at the door holding a grocery bag and wearing a concerned expression. "Your neighbor let me in downstairs," she explained, stepping inside. "You weren't answering texts, and I got worried." Her eyes widened as she took in my tear-stained face. "What happened? Wasn't the wedding today?" The whole humiliating story poured out of me between sobs. Megan listened, her expression shifting from shock to fury. "That, calculating little," she began, then stopped herself. I knew Amanda had changed, but this is another level entirely. Megan unpacked comfort essentials: chocolate ice cream, potato chips, and a bottle of wine. First, food. Then we figure out what to do. As we sat at my kitchen island, I remembered the wedding gift still in my car. I should return the earrings I bought her. I sighed. "I'll get them," Megan offered, taking my keys. When she returned, she wasn't carrying the small jewelry box I expected, but the large package I'd wrapped the night before. "This doesn't look like earrings," she said, placing it on the counter. "That's not my gift," I frowned, examining the elegantly wrapped package with my name on the gift tag. Inside, nestled in velvet, lay an antique jewelry set: a sapphire necklace with matching earrings and bracelet. A small card in my grandmother's handwriting read, "For my first granddaughter to marry. May these Jordan family heirlooms bring you the same joy they brought me. Love, Grandma Rose." "Oh my God," I whispered, touching the sapphires reverently. "Grandma left these for whichever granddaughter married first. Mom must have given them to Amanda for the wedding." I looked up at Megan in confusion. But why were they in a gift with my name? Before we could puzzle it out, my phone, which I'd reluctantly turned back on, began ringing nonstop. Family members I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly needed to talk urgently. My cousin Sarah texted, "Is it true? Did you really do it? The whole family's talking." "Do what?" I asked Megan, increasingly bewildered. I finally answered a call from my Uncle Paul. "Patrice? Thank God. Is it true?" "Is what true? That you stole the wedding gifts and your grandmother's jewelry before disappearing with all the cash wedding presents?" The room seemed to tilt sideways. "What? No. I've been home for the past 2 hours. That's not what Amanda's telling everyone," he said. "She's hysterical, saying you showed up, caused a scene, then made off with thousands in gifts and cash when no one was looking." As if this revelation wasn't shocking enough, another call came in from a number I hadn't seen in years. My father. "Patrice Elizabeth Jordan. His stern voice boomed when I answered. What have you done now? Your sister is devastated. First, you refuse to help with wedding costs. Then you steal family heirlooms. I raised you better than this. Dad, I didn't take anything. Amanda seated me next to trash cans in the hallway and I left. That's all that happened. That's not what Amanda says. She's filed a police report, Patrice. This is serious. My blood ran cold. Amanda had deliberately humiliated me, and now she was framing me for theft. I stared at the sapphire jewelry set the evidence that would supposedly prove my guilt. Did you hear me? Dad continued. The police are involved now. I need to go back there, I told Megan after hanging up. I need to clear my name. I'm driving, she insisted, grabbing her purse. You're in no condition. As we headed back toward the Grand Parkview Hotel, a terrible realization settled over me. The sister I'd grown up with, shared secrets with, and loved unconditionally had just declared war. The wedding reception was in full swing when Megan and I arrived back at the venue. Valets gave us suspicious looks as we hurried past, no doubt warned about the thieving sister. The sapphire jewelry set felt heavy in my purse, damning evidence according to Amanda's story, but proof of my innocence in reality. We found the reception in the grand ballroom, where Amanda held court at the center table. Her eyes widened in genuine shock when she spotted me. She quickly whispered something to Ethan, whose head snapped in my direction. There she is, shrieked one bridesmaid, pointing dramatically. She's got some nerve showing her face. The music screeched to a halt. 200 guests turned to stare as conversations died mid-sentence. Amanda rose from her seat, face contorted with rage, or perhaps fear. Security, she called. This woman is not welcome here. I stepped forward, clutching the jewelry box. Amanda, we need to talk about these lies you're spreading. 2 hotel security guards approached, but before they could reach me, an unexpected voice cut through the tension. Wait. Ethan stood, straightening his tuxedo jacket. Let's hear what Patrice has to say. Amanda tugged his arm. Honey, she stole from us. From our guests. Then why would she come back? He asked reasonably. Let's handle this privately. He gestured toward a side room, his expression unreadable. In the small conference room adjacent to the ballroom, an unusual group assembled. Amanda, Ethan, their parents, my parents, pointedly standing on opposite sides of the room, the wedding planner clutching her tablet, and me. Megan stationed herself protectively at my side. You have exactly 1 minute to explain yourself before I call the police, Amanda hissed. Police? Ethan looked confused. Amanda, you said we should wait until tomorrow to file a report. I lied to no one, I said firmly, opening my purse. I arrived this morning to find my seat placed in the hallway next to trash cans. Amanda confirmed it was deliberate. I left with my gift and came straight home. I placed the jewelry box on the table. This was in my car with my name on it. I've never seen it before today. My mother gasped. Those are the family sapphires. I gave them to Amanda 3 weeks ago. Amanda's face flushed. She must have stolen them from my apartment. Actually, the wedding planner interrupted, checking her tablet. I have the handoff log right here. These items were placed in the gift room at 9 this morning, by the mother of the bride, labeled for Patrice Jordan. Amanda's eyes darted nervously. There must be some mistake. The mistake, said my mother slowly, was me trusting you with Grandma Rose's instructions. The sapphires were for the first granddaughter to marry. I gave them to you for safekeeping because I thought Patrice would be your maid of honor. You were supposed to present them to her during your toast. The room fell silent as implications settled. That doesn't explain the missing gifts and cash, Amanda deflected. The wedding planner checked her tablet again. All gifts are accounted for in the secure room. I've been monitoring it all day as per protocol for high-value events. The cash box, Amanda insisted, is right here, said Jessica, the maid of honor, appearing in the doorway with an ornate box. It's been with me since the ceremony as we planned. She looked confused by Amanda's accusation. What about the scene she caused during the ceremony? Amanda tried again. That's easily verified, said Ethan. "We have the videographer's footage of the entire ceremony and venue." He turned to the wedding planner. "Susan, can you have Ryan bring the raw footage?" Amanda's face went pale. "That won't be necessary. I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding." The videographer arrived minutes later with his laptop. "I've been filming since guests began arriving," he explained, pulling up footage. The video clearly showed me arriving, being directed to the hallway seat, my shocked expression, Amanda's cruel comment, and my dignified exit, all exactly as I had described. There was no scene, no theft, nothing but deliberate humiliation followed by quiet departure. "I don't understand," said Ethan, looking at Amanda with growing suspicion. "Why would you seat your sister in the hallway? And why lie about her stealing?" Before Amanda could formulate a response, an older woman I recognized as Ethan's aunt approached our group. "Excuse me," she said, "but there seems to be an issue with the final venue payment. The manager says the check bounced." "That's impossible," said Ethan. "I transferred the funds to Amanda last month." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "While we're clearing things up," added a distinguished-looking man I assumed was Ethan's father. "Perhaps Amanda can explain these." He held up credit card statements. Our accountant flagged $47,000 in charges on Ethan's cards that don't align with wedding expenses. Amanda's composure cracked. "This is all Patrice's fault. She's trying to ruin my wedding because she's jealous." "Jealous?" I repeated incredulously. "Amanda, I found your text with Jessica. You planned this humiliation for weeks." Jessica's eyes widened. "What texts?" "About putting me in my place," I explained. "About embarrassing me so I'd never show my face in the family again." Jessica looked genuinely confused. "I never sent texts like that." "Check her phone," Ethan suggested. "If such messages exist, they'll be there." Amanda clutched her purse tightly. "My phone is private." "Mine isn't," I offered, pulling out my device. "I took screenshots when I found them yesterday." As I scrolled through my photos, I heard Megan gasp softly beside me. She tilted her phone screen toward me, showing a social media post from just 2 days earlier. It was Amanda at her bachelorette party, glass raised high, caption reading, "Marrying up while my nurse sister slaves away changing bedpans. Some of us know how to play the game." Number, "Blessed not stressed." Number, "Marrying money." "What is this?" Ethan asked, taking Megan's phone. His expression hardened as he scrolled through more posts mocking my career, appearance, and financial situation. The revelations kept coming. A cousin confirmed Amanda had been selling a story to Northeast Society magazine about her troubled sister, who couldn't handle her success. The wedding planner reluctantly admitted Amanda had reduced the guest count without telling Ethan, pocketing the difference in catering costs. Throughout all this, Ethan's expression grew increasingly grim. Finally, he asked everyone to leave except Amanda, his best man Jake, and me. "There's something else you should know," he said once we were alone. He pulled out his phone and showed me text messages between Amanda and Jake spanning months. The messages were intimate, explicit, and left no doubt they were having an affair. "I discovered these last week," Ethan said quietly. "I was hoping it was cold feet, that after today things would change." "Ethan, it's not what it looks like," Amanda pleaded. "It's exactly what it looks like," Jake said unexpectedly. "I'm done lying for you, Amanda. Ethan's been my friend since we were 10. This has gone far enough." In that moment, looking at my sister's face, as her carefully constructed world began collapsing, I felt no satisfaction, only a profound sadness for the person she had become. Word spread through the reception like wildfire. Guests whispered behind napkins as servers awkwardly navigated the increasing tension. I stayed only to clear my name, refusing to participate in Amanda's public downfall despite everything she'd done. "You should eat something," Megan suggested, bringing me a plate from the buffet. It's been hours since breakfast. As I picked at gourmet appetizers, Amanda's carefully orchestrated wedding continued to unravel. The 7-tier cake stood untouched after the baker discovered her final payment had been canceled. The champagne toast became awkward when Ethan's father replaced his planned speech with a terse, "Congratulations," and "best wishes for the challenges ahead." I was preparing to leave when my Uncle Robert, our family's unofficial historian, cornered me by the gift table. "Something doesn't add up," he said, brow furrowed. "Your grandmother left specific instructions about her estate. The sapphires were just part of it. There was money too, 30,000 for each grandchild when they turned 30 or got married, whichever came first." "I never received anything," I said, surprised. "Neither did your cousins," he replied. "Amanda was handling the distribution as executor since your father waived his right after the divorce." A cold feeling settled in my stomach. When was this supposed to happen? 2 years ago, after Grandma Rose passed. The implications were staggering. If Amanda had access to inheritance money meant for all the grandchildren, and none of us had received our shares, my thoughts were interrupted by a commotion near the main entrance. Amanda stood on a chair, mascara streaking down her flushed face. "She planned this!" she shouted, pointing at me. "Patrice has always been jealous of me. She's trying to sabotage my wedding because no one would ever want to marry her." Guests exchanged uncomfortable glances as hotel staff tried to coax Amanda down. "She turned all of you against me," she continued hysterically. "My own family. Ethan, tell them the truth." Ethan stood silently, jaw clenched, as Jake placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. Desperate to end this public spectacle, I approached my sister. "Amanda, please come down. Let's talk privately." "Stay away from me!" she shrieked, wobbling dangerously on her heels. Jessica stepped forward. "Amanda, that's enough." Her voice was firm but kind. "Come with me. You need a break." Something in Jessica's tone finally reached Amanda. She allowed herself to be helped down and escorted toward the bridal suite, shooting me a venomous glare as she passed. Megan appeared at my side. "I've been talking to guests. Amanda told everyone different stories about why you weren't in the wedding party. She told your cousins you refused because you didn't want to pay for the bridesmaid dress. She told your friends from high school that you were dealing with mental health issues and couldn't handle the responsibility." "Classic triangulation," observed a woman nearby, who introduced herself as Dr. Lisa Warren, Ethan's psychologist aunt. "Create separate narratives for different people, so they never compare notes." My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Found home videos from childhood. You need to see these." In the lobby. In a quiet corner of the hotel lobby, Mom played videos on her tablet. Birthday parties, dance recitals, school awards, normal family memories, except for a pattern I'd never noticed. In scene after scene, young Amanda could be seen taking my projects, rehearsing my lines, practicing my routines when she thought no one was watching. "After your dance solo won first place, Amanda told everyone she choreographed it for you," Mom said. I never corrected her because it seemed harmless. I'm starting to think I made a terrible mistake. The revelation triggered other memories. Amanda wearing my handmade bracelet to school, claiming she'd made it, taking credit for my science project ideas, telling neighbors she'd taught me to read. Small appropriations that, viewed collectively, revealed a troubling pattern. As we watched these scenes from the past, Ethan's parents approached with grim expressions. "We've canceled the honeymoon arrangements," Mrs. Blackwood said stiffly. "Under the circumstances, it seems inappropriate to fund a $20,000 trip to Bali." "The circumstances?" I asked, although I suspected I knew. "Amanda has been presenting herself as something she's not," Mr. Blackwood replied. "Ethan tells us she claimed to be completing a master's degree in art history. We've learned she never even finished her bachelor's. There are other discrepancies." Before I could respond, Jessica burst into the lobby, visibly shaken. "She's gone," she gasped. Amanda locked herself in the bathroom, then disappeared through the window. "I found this." She held out a crumpled note. The handwriting was barely legible. "You've all chosen Patrice over me, just like always. I took what I deserved. Don't try to find me." "The gifts," someone murmured. And suddenly everyone was rushing toward the gift room. Inside, tables that had been laden with presents now stood half empty. The cash box was gone. As security scrambled and guests speculated, Jessica pulled me aside, her expression tortured. "There's something I need to tell you," she said. "I've known Amanda since college. I knew she could be difficult. But these past few months, she's changed completely." Jessica's confession spilled out in a jumbled rush. Amanda had never intended to share the inheritance money. She'd created fake emails appearing to come from cousins confirming receipt of their shares. She'd planned to frame me for theft from the beginning, storing select gifts in her car trunk during the rehearsal dinner. "The worst part," Jessica admitted, tears streaming, "is that she told me you tried to seduce Ethan last Christmas. She showed me texts from him rejecting you. I believed her completely until today, when I saw his face watching those messages with Jake. She must have faked the Ethan texts too." As Jessica spoke, I realized the full extent of Amanda's deception. She hadn't just humiliated me today. She'd been systematically destroying my reputation for years. With this devastating truth hanging in the air, Ethan's shout echoed across the lobby. "She took my car! My wallet was inside!" The perfect wedding day had descended into complete chaos, and my sister was now officially on the run with thousands of dollars in stolen property. Evening shadows lengthened as police officers filled out reports in the hotel's conference room. Guests had slowly dispersed, leaving behind whispered condolences and awkward goodbyes. The wedding that had begun just hours ago with organ music and flowers now ended with theft reports and witness statements. Ethan sat alone at a table, jacket discarded, bow tie hanging loose around his neck. Despite everything Amanda had done, I felt genuine sympathy for him. "I'm sorry," I said, taking the chair across from him. "This isn't how your wedding day should have ended." He gave a humorless laugh. "I'm not sure this marriage ever really began." His fingers traced patterns on the tablecloth. "I keep asking myself how I missed the signs." "Amanda is convincing," I offered. "She always has been." 3 days ago," he said quietly, "I found credit card statements showing she'd spent $22,000 at high-end stores in the past month alone. When I confronted her, she broke down crying, said she was just trying to be the kind of wife my family expected. She seemed so genuinely distressed that I comforted her instead of pressing further." Officer Reynolds, the lead detective, interrupted our conversation. "Mr. Blackwood, we've put an alert out for your vehicle. Miss Jordan, we need to ask you some additional questions." The questioning was thorough, but respectful. Yes, Amanda had access to my personal information. Yes, there had been tension for years. No, I never suspected she'd go this far. As I answered their questions, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. The officer nodded permission to answer. "Miss Jordan?" said an official voice. "This is Timothy Grant from First National Bank Fraud Department. We've detected suspicious activity on your accounts. Someone attempted to open 3 credit cards and a personal loan in your name within the last hour. Given the amounts involved, we implemented a security freeze." My legs nearly gave out. "My sister," I whispered to the officer. "She's stealing my identity now." Officer Reynolds immediately contacted the bank's security team, adding identity theft to the growing list of charges. The night grew more surreal when my work supervisor called. "Patrice, I'm sorry to bother you, but we've received some disturbing emails apparently from you, resigning your position and admitting to medication theft from the pediatric ward. The timing seemed suspicious, so I wanted to check directly." My stomach knotted with fresh anxiety. "I didn't send anything like that. I'm at my sister's wedding, or what was supposed to be her wedding." "I thought it might be fraudulent," she sighed. "Don't worry, we'll handle it. Take care of yourself." After hanging up, I turned to find Ethan engaged in intense conversation with Jake in the corner of the room. Their discussion ended with a firm handshake, and Ethan's visible relief. "Jake's withdrawing as my best man, and leaving," Ethan explained when he returned. "He's agreed to tell the full truth about their relationship in exchange for me not pressing additional charges." Shortly after Jake departed, Ethan received a text that drained the color from his face. "It's from Amanda," he said, showing me the screen. The message read, "This is all Patrice's fault. She's turned everyone against me. If anything happens to me tonight, you'll all be sorry. Especially her. This reads like a suicide threat, Officer Reynolds said grimly, immediately initiating procedures for locating a potentially self-harming subject. The next few hours passed in a blur of police activity, family phone calls, and mounting anxiety. My parents, who had barely spoken in 5 years, now sat together in the hotel lobby making lists of Amanda's known friends and locations. Ethan's parents worked with hotel security to review surveillance footage. Megan fielded calls from concerned relatives and friends. Around midnight, my phone lit up with social media notifications. Friends were sending links to posts about me, all from accounts I didn't recognize. Clicking through, I found dozens of posts containing ugly lies. Claims that I was fired for stealing medication, that I had mental health commitments, even suggestions of inappropriate behavior with patients. She's trying to destroy my professional reputation now, I realized aloud. Ethan looked over my shoulder at the posts. These are all recent accounts with no history, he observed. Classic trolling pattern. We can report them. While Ethan helped me flag the accounts, Officer Reynolds returned with updates. They'd tracked Ethan's car to a shopping center 20 miles away, but found it abandoned. Amanda had used his credit cards at several ATMs, withdrawing the maximum daily limit before the cards were canceled. We've also received concerning reports from several of your relatives, Reynolds added carefully. They've received texts from Amanda's phone claiming you've been embezzling from your grandmother's estate for years, and that tonight was her attempt to expose you. The accusation would have been laughable if it weren't so calculated to turn family against me. I didn't even know there was an estate. I found out tonight that Amanda was executor, and apparently never distributed the inheritance. We'll need to look into that separately, Reynolds noted. As if the situation weren't complicated enough, a group of Amanda's college friends arrived at the hotel, having seen her disturbing social media posts. Their hostility toward me was immediate and intense. What did you do to her? Demanded a woman named Tracy. Amanda said you've been sabotaging her for years out of jealousy. Amanda is not well, I tried to explain. She's stolen gift money, Ethan's car, and family heirlooms. She's been lying to everyone. That's exactly what someone trying to gaslight her would say, another friend shot back. It took the police officer's intervention to defuse the confrontation, but their arrival added another layer of complexity to an already chaotic situation. Near 2 a.m, my father approached with an expression I hadn't seen since my childhood, a mixture of concern and contrition. Patrice, he began hesitantly, I owe you an apology. For years, Amanda told me you wanted nothing to do with me after the divorce. She showed me texts from you saying harsh things. He swallowed hard. I believed her without ever asking you directly. Dad, I never sent any texts like that, I said, feeling a fresh wave of hurt at how easily he'd accepted Amanda's lies. I called you every Sunday for months after the divorce. You never picked up. Amanda said you only called to ask for money, he admitted, looking ashamed. She managed my phone for me after I had eye surgery that year. I never saw your calls. The revelation of this years-long deception left me speechless. How many relationships had Amanda poisoned with her lies? How much family connection had I lost to her manipulation? As dawn approached, Officer Reynolds received an urgent call. We have a location, he announced. Miss Jordan has used her credit card at the Lakeside Resort. We have officers en route. The news brought momentary relief until another officer rushed in with an update. Sir, we've received a concerning text sent to multiple family members from the subject's phone. It reads, by the time you find me, it will be too late. Patrice finally wins. I hope you're all happy. The implication sent ice through my veins. Was Amanda truly threatening self-harm? Or was this another manipulation? Either possibility was terrifying. The search for Amanda intensified as morning light spilled across the hotel lobby. Family members who had been celebration-ready just hours earlier now sat in rumpled formal wear, making calls and checking social media for any trace of my sister. Local news had picked up the story, their sensationalized headlines painting a dramatic picture. Bride flees wedding after family confrontation and wedding day ends in theft and disappearance. Officer Reynolds coordinated with police units near Lakeside Resort, 30 miles north of the city. "We need a recent photo," he requested. Ethan provided one from his phone, his expression now more resigned than shocked. "This was taken yesterday at the rehearsal dinner. As law enforcement mobilized, I tried to help them understand Amanda's state of mind. My nursing training included crisis intervention and psychological first aid, skills suddenly relevant in ways I never expected. She's likely feeling cornered and exposed," I explained. "The public humiliation of having her deceptions revealed would be intolerable to someone who's built their identity around maintaining appearances." "Do you believe the suicide threats are genuine?" Reynolds asked directly. I considered carefully. "I think Amanda would do anything to regain control of the narrative. If she believes these threats will redirect attention and sympathy toward her, she'll use them. But that doesn't mean she won't hurt herself in the process." The officer nodded. "We're treating it as a genuine risk." Local media coverage grew increasingly problematic. Without full information, several outlets portrayed Amanda as the victim of wedding day sabotage, with vague references to a family dispute initiated by the bride's sister. Social media quickly amplified this narrative, with number "Justice for Amanda" trending among users who knew nothing of the actual situation. As public perception turned against me, Ethan's mother unexpectedly became my defender. Caroline Blackwood, intimidating in her tailored suit despite the early hour, made calls to her media contacts, insisting on factual reporting rather than speculation. "The Blackwood name still carries some weight," she told me with a thin smile. "At minimum, they should report that police are investigating theft and fraud, not just a family disagreement." Her support surprised me. "Why are you helping me? This situation must be embarrassing for your family." She adjusted her pearl necklace with dignity. "The embarrassment was having my son nearly marry someone who lied about her education, background, and intentions. You've been honest throughout this ordeal. That matters to me." Around 9 in the morning, police reported finding Ethan's abandoned Mercedes at Lakeside Resort's parking lot, but no sign of Amanda. Security footage showed her entering with a man who looked suspiciously like Jake, the best man. Both carried multiple bags and checked in under false names. This information contradicted the narrative of a distraught bride in crisis, suggesting instead a planned escape. Still, without confirmation of Amanda's safety, tension remained high. By mid-morning, my mother had uncovered disturbing evidence of Amanda's financial manipulation. Using her access to family accounts as executor, Amanda had systematically drained our grandmother's estate. Bank records showed transfers to private accounts, with fabricated emails to family members claiming distributions had been delayed by legal issues. "The total missing is over $200,000, Mom said, voice shaking. "That's the combined inheritance for all 6 grandchildren." This discovery prompted a family meeting in the hotel's small business center. Cousins I hadn't seen in years gathered to compare notes, each revealing different lies Amanda had told to keep us separated and prevent us from discovering the missing inheritance. "She told me you'd received your share and bought a vacation home you weren't sharing with family," said my cousin David. "She told me you were refusing to sign necessary paperwork, holding up everyone's distribution," added his sister Rachel. As we untangled the web of deceptions, a pattern emerged. Amanda had masterfully played on existing family tensions, particularly those stemming from our parents' divorce, to keep us isolated from each other. The inheritance was just one aspect of her broader campaign to control family narratives and resources. Dr. Warren, Ethan's psychologist aunt, sat in on our discussion at the family's request. "What you're describing suggests Amanda may have a serious personality disorder," she observed carefully. "The manipulation, lack of empathy, and elaborate deceptions are concerning symptoms." Around noon, a dramatic breakthrough came when police located Amanda's secret apartment in a downtown high-rise. The property, leased under a false name, contained a treasure trove of evidence. Family heirlooms reported missing years earlier, financial documents revealing extensive fraud, and detailed journals chronicling her deceptions. "She kept records of every lie," said Officer Reynolds, sounding almost impressed. "Color-coded by person, with notes on what each of you believed. Most disturbing were lists of leverage points for each family member, emotional vulnerabilities Amanda had identified and exploited. Mine included needs family approval, professional reputation, and relationship insecurity. The discovery of the apartment provided legal ammunition for recovery of stolen assets, but still didn't reveal Amanda's current location. Her threats of self-harm, while increasingly appearing manipulative rather than genuine, couldn't be dismissed entirely. In the early afternoon, Ethan received concerning news from his lawyer. "The marriage may not be legally valid," he explained. Amanda listed false information on the license application, including previous marriages we weren't aware of. "Previous marriages?" I echoed in disbelief. Ethan nodded grimly. Apparently, she was briefly married right after college to a man named Scott Daniels. She never disclosed this. Each revelation peeled back another layer of deception, revealing a sister I never truly knew. The Amanda who had shared my childhood bedroom, who had cried on my shoulder after her first breakup, who had once defended me fiercely against playground bullies, seemed like a completely different person from the calculating woman who had constructed this elaborate framework of lies. By late afternoon, my parents had arranged a meeting with a family therapist specializing in high-conflict situations. Dr. Marcia Bennett listened intently as they recounted years of enabling Amanda's behavior, from overlooking childhood falsehoods to dismissing dramatic tendencies in her teens. "We called it Amanda's flair for storytelling," Mom admitted. "We thought she'd grow out of it." "I rewarded it," Dad added quietly. "When the girls were little, I gave more attention to exciting stories than ordinary ones. Amanda learned that embellishment got my attention. Their recognition of their role in Amanda's development came too late to prevent the current crisis, but offered hope for healthier family dynamics moving forward." Around sunset, just when exhaustion had begun to overwhelm us all, Officer Reynolds received the call we'd been waiting for. "We've located Amanda Jordan and Jacob Pierce at the Grand Horizon Hotel. Both are unharmed. We're bringing them in now." The relief was palpable, though tempered by the knowledge that difficult conversations and potential legal consequences still lay ahead. 2 hours later, security footage from Grand Horizon Hotel revealed the final twist in Amanda's elaborate deception. Far from being distraught, she and Jake had checked in with champagne and celebration dinner, clearly executing a planned escape rather than a crisis-driven flight. The suicide threats had been pure manipulation, timed to create maximum distress while they enjoyed their getaway with the stolen wedding gifts. As I watched this footage of my sister laughing while I and others feared for her life, a strange calm settled over me. The person on that security video wasn't the sister I had loved and protected all my life. She was someone I had never truly known. 1 month after the wedding that wasn't, I sat in my living room surrounded by family members I had barely spoken to in years. Cousins David and Rachel brought homemade lasagna. Uncle Robert and Aunt Sarah contributed wine. My parents, though still divorced, managed civil conversation focused on recovery rather than recrimination. The family gathering felt tentative but healing, like tender new growth after a forest fire. The legal aftermath of Amanda's actions had been swift and consequential. Faced with overwhelming evidence, she accepted a plea deal for reduced charges of grand theft and fraud. The court mandated psychological evaluation, restitution, and probation, rather than jail time. The family sapphires and other heirlooms had been recovered from the secret apartment and safety deposit boxes. Ethan, after confirming the marriage was invalid due to Amanda's fraudulent application, had been remarkably kind throughout the process. He even established a recovery fund to help reimburse wedding guests whose gifts had been damaged or lost. "How are you holding up?" Megan asked, refilling my wine glass. "Better than I expected," I admitted. "The hospital administration has been incredibly supportive. Once they saw the evidence, they understood I was a victim of identity theft rather than the perpetrator." The weeks following the wedding had been challenging but clarifying. With Amanda's elaborate network of lies exposed, family members had begun reaching out directly to verify information she had given them about others. Painful conversations revealed years of calculated divisiveness, birthdays she claimed I'd forgotten to acknowledge, family events she told me I wasn't welcome to attend, critical comments she fabricated from one relative about another. "I should have known something was wrong when Amanda told me you didn't want me at your nursing school graduation," my father said. "That wasn't like you at all. We all miss signs," I assured him. Amanda was skilled at finding our vulnerabilities. With the inheritance fraud exposed, the family had worked with lawyers to reconstruct Grandma Rose's estate and ensure proper distribution. My share would help establish a nursing scholarship at my alma mater, turning something painful into opportunity for others. The doorbell rang, interrupting our conversation. I opened it to find Jessica, Amanda's former maid of honor, looking nervous. "I hope I'm not intruding," she said. "I wanted to return this." She held out a small jewelry box containing a bracelet I had made in high school. "Amanda told me you gave this to her, but I found a note in her things, saying she had taken it from your room. I thought you should have it back." I invited Jessica to join us, recognizing that she too had been manipulated by Amanda's deceptions. Over dinner, she shared her own experiences of Amanda's elaborate lies and manipulations throughout their friendship. "She always had to be the center of attention," Jessica observed. "She rewrote reality to make herself the hero or the victim, depending on what got her more sympathy or admiration." 2 months after the wedding day, I received an unexpected call from the psychiatric facility where Amanda was receiving treatment. Dr. Eleanor Simmons, her primary therapist, requested a meeting. "Family involvement can be beneficial in cases like your sister's," she explained. "Would you be willing to participate in a controlled session?" Despite my misgivings, I agreed. The Amanda I encountered in the sterile visiting room seemed smaller somehow, her designer confidence replaced by standard issue restraint. Her eyes, however, still calculated every reaction. "The doctors say I need to make amends," she began, voice carefully modulated. "So I'm sorry you felt hurt by my actions." The non-apology revealed how little had changed. "Amanda, I didn't feel hurt. You deliberately hurt me and others through calculated actions over many years." Her facade cracked slightly. "You always got everything so easily. Grades, friends, mom and dad's approval. I had to work for attention." "That simply isn't true," I replied evenly. "But even if it were, it wouldn't justify what you did." The conversation continued in this vein, Amanda alternating between minimizing her actions and justifying them based on perceived childhood slights. Though disappointing, the session clarified important boundaries. I could maintain compassion for my sister's mental health struggles without accepting her harmful behavior or false narratives. 6 months after the wedding day, I hosted a family reunion dinner at my apartment. The gathering was smaller than traditional family events but more genuine. We had collectively decided to prioritize quality connections over obligatory inclusiveness, which meant Amanda still in treatment and showing minimal progress was not invited. My mother, setting out dessert plates, paused beside me. "I keep thinking about how different things might have been if we'd addressed Amanda's behaviors earlier." "We can't change the past," I reminded her. "But we can learn from it." As we enjoyed dinner together, I observed the relaxed conversation, the authentic laughter, the absence of walking on eggshells that had characterized family gatherings for years. The painful events of the wedding day had catalyzed necessary changes in our family system. We were learning to communicate directly, rather than through triangulation, to verify information, rather than accept potentially divisive claims, to establish boundaries based on behavior rather than obligation. During a quiet moment after dinner, my young cousin Emily approached with her mother Rachel. At 8 years old, Emily had recently been diagnosed with anxiety, prompting Rachel to seek my professional insights as a pediatric nurse. "Sometimes I worry that nobody likes me," Emily confessed, echoing concerns common among children her age. "That's a hard feeling," I acknowledged. "But you know what? Your worth doesn't depend on what others think of you or how they treat you. It comes from inside." As I spoke these words to Emily, I recognized how much I needed to hear them myself. For years, I had allowed Amanda's treatment of me to define my sense of family belonging. The wedding day humiliation had been painful precisely because I had given her that power. "The people who really matter will see your true value," I continued, speaking to Emily but also to myself. "And those who don't see it? That tells you something about them, not about you." Emily's thoughtful nod suggested the message resonated. Her mother squeezed my hand in silent gratitude. Later that evening, as guests departed with warm hugs rather than the tense goodbyes of previous gatherings, I reflected on the strange journey from wedding day humiliation to newfound peace. The family sapphires, now secured in a proper safe, would eventually go to Emily when she married, honoring Grandma Rose's intention while skipping the generation that had tried to weaponize them. 1 year after the wedding that wasn't, I stood in the pediatric ward at Memorial Hospital, watching 10-year-old Sophie take her first steps after extensive surgery. Her parents had been told she might not walk again, but Sophie had defied expectations through determination and painful physical therapy. "I did it," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You absolutely did," I affirmed. "And do you know what made the difference? You believed in your own strength, even when it was hard." Sophie's journey mirrored my own emotional recovery in many ways. The path hadn't been linear or easy. There had been setbacks and difficult days. But gradually, I had reclaimed my narrative from Amanda's distortions, rebuilt relationships damaged by her triangulation, and established healthier boundaries throughout my life. I still received occasional updates about Amanda through family channels. She had completed her mandated treatment program with minimal engagement, continued to deflect responsibility for her actions, and remained focused on her own victimhood narrative. Though I maintained compassion for her struggles, I recognized that real relationship could only be possible with accountability she seemed unwilling to offer. That evening, walking home through the autumn sunset, I considered how differently I viewed the wedding day fiasco now. What had initially felt like the ultimate public humiliation had actually been the beginning of liberation from a toxic dynamic I might otherwise have spent decades trying to fix. Family isn't about sharing perfect moments captured in wedding photographs or society magazine features. It's about how people treat you when the perfect facade falls away. It's about who remains standing beside you when difficult truths emerge. It's about connections built on mutual respect rather than manipulation and obligation. As I reached my apartment building, I paused to appreciate the evening sky's vibrant colors. The sister who had seated me by trash cans had unwittingly given me the courage to walk away from harmful relationships and toward authentic connection. Sometimes, the most painful moments become unexpected doorways to freedom and self-discovery. Have you ever experienced a situation where public humiliation ultimately led to personal liberation? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Sometimes our most painful moments become catalysts for powerful personal growth. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear that their worth isn't determined by how others treat them. Thank you for taking this journey with me, and I wish you the courage to walk away from situations that diminish your value, even when walking away is the hardest thing to do.